Did you know that the U.S. government, including the CIA, declassified a trove of documents, including records on secret programs such as the Mind Control Project, MKUltra, and the Syphilis study at Tuskegee? In today's video, we will look at the shocking facts about a few of these declassified programs that are least known.
The hesitancy.
We've been told so many lies for so many years.
Mistrust in the medical system rooted in history, like the Tuskegee study in 1932, a 40-year experiment where nearly 400 black men living with syphilis were denied treatment.
In 1932, the U.S. Public Health Service, working with the Tuskegee Institute, began a study to record the natural history of syphilis. It was originally called the Tuskegee Study of Untreated Syphilis in the Negro Male, now referred to as the U.S. Public Health Service Syphilis Study at Tuskegee. The study initially involved 600 black men, 399 with syphilis, 201 who did not have the disease. The participants in the study informed consent was not given. Researchers told the men they were being treated for bad blood, a local term used to describe several ailments, including syphilis, anemia, and fatigue. In exchange for taking part in the study, the men received free medical exams, free meals, and a burial insurance. By 1943, penicillin was the treatment of choice for syphilis and became widely available, but the participants in the study were not offered treatment. Although originally planned to last only 6 months, the experiment continued for 40 years. Finally, in 1972, an Associated Press article prompted public outrage and a subsequent investigation. A government advisory panel deemed the study ethically irresponsible, and the research ended almost immediately. Later in 1973, a class action lawsuit was filed on behalf of the study's participants and their families, resulting in a $10 million out-of-court settlement in 1974. On May 16, 1997, President Bill Clinton issued a formal presidential apology for the study.
On behalf of the American people, what the United States government did was shameful, and I am sorry.
I'm Adrienne Clarkson. Tonight we report on a secret CIA research project carried out in Montreal in which mental patients felt they were used as the CIA's guinea pigs.
They kept you asleep for 23 days. And while I was asleep, they were shocking the heck out of me with electric shocks.
The U.S. Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, developed Project MKUltra, a covert human experimentation program intending to identify techniques and chemicals that could be used in interrogations to weaken subjects and force confessions through brainwashing and psychological torture. According to some historians, the program was also created to create a mind control technology that might be used to program the brains of potential assassins. The project started in 1953 and ended in 1973. MKUltra utilized a variety of techniques to influence the minds and brains of its subjects, including the covert administration of high doses of psychoactive substance, especially LSD, and other chemicals without their knowledge. They also administered electroshock, hypnosis, sensory deprivation, isolation, verbal and sexual abuse, and other forms of torture. Project Bluebird and Project ARTICHOKE, two drug-related studies, came before MKUltra. It was coordinated with the United States Army Biological Warfare Laboratories and organized by CIA Office of Scientific Intelligence. The program engaged in illegal activities, including using U.S. and Canadian unsuspecting participants. From the 1950s to the 1970s, over 7,000 American veterans participated in these tests without their consent. Many of them later sued the government. The scope of MKUltra was extensive, with operations carried out under the guise of research at more than 80 organizations, including schools and universities, military hospitals, jails, and pharmaceutical firms, under the pretense of this study. Although some high executives in these groups were aware of the CIA's involvement, the agency operated through front organizations. The MKUltra program was first brought to the public attention in 1975 by the Church Committee of the United States Congress and Gerald Ford's United States Presidential Commission on CIA Activities within the United States, also known as the Rockefeller Commission. In 1977, a Freedom of Information Act request uncovered a cache of 20,000 documents relating to the MKUltra program, which led to Senate hearings. Information about the MKUltra program was eventually declassified in July of 2001.
Good evening, my fellow citizens. This government, as promised, has maintained the closest surveillance of the Soviet military buildup on the island of Cuba. Within the past week, unmistakable evidence has established the fact that a series of offensive missile sites is now in preparation on that imprisoned island. The purpose of these bases can be none other than to provide a nuclear strike capability against the Western Hemisphere.
The tense relationship between the United States and Cuba during the Cold War led the Central Intelligence Agency to hatch a slew of bizarre schemes aimed at taking down the Castro regime. While the goal of most of these covert operations, such as Operation Mongoose, was to assassinate Fidel Castro himself, other plans aimed to incite an all-out war between the United States and Cuba. Operation Northwoods was a proposed false flag operation against American citizens that originated within the U.S. Department of Defense in 1962. The proposals called for CIA operatives to stage and commit acts of violent terrorism against American military and civilian targets, blaming them on the Cuban government and using those acts to justify a war against Cuba. The possibilities detailed in this classified document included a fabricated downing of a U.S. Air Force jet off the coast of Cuba, the killing of Cuban immigrants by sinking boats of Cuban refugees on the high seas, blowing up a U.S. ship, and orchestrating a terror campaign in the Miami area and other Florida cities, and even in Washington, which was to be blamed on the Cuban government. The desired result from the execution of this plan would be to place the United States in the apparent position of suffering defensible grievances from a rash and irresponsible government of Cuba, and to develop an international image of Cuban threat to peace in the Western Hemisphere. The plan was drafted by the Joint Chiefs of Staff, signed by Chairman Lyman Lemnitzer, and sent to the Secretary of Defense, Robert McNamara, on 13th of March, 1962. However, President Kennedy rejected it. None of the false flag operations became active under the auspices of the Operation Northwood proposals. A total of 1,521 pages of once secreted military records covering 1962 to 1964 were declassified. The Northwoods documents were first published online by the National Security Archives on November 6, 1998, in a joint venture with CNN as part of a 1998 Cold War television documentary series.
The U.S. intelligence community on Friday released a long-awaited report on what it knows about UFOs, or unidentified flying objects. Some of the more than 100 instances it studied could be explained by atmospheric occurrences, foreign adversary actions, or other phenomena. But most of the incidents defied explanation.
3 U.S. Navy recordings of unidentifiable aircraft moving in seemingly impossible ways were leaked to the media in December of 2017. The FLIR, Gimbal, and GoFast recordings were recorded by Navy pilots during normal operations over the California coast in 2004, as well as the East Coast in 2014 and 2015. Each encounter, the pilot made an effort to follow strange, wingless aircrafts that were traveling at hypersonic speeds and didn't have any visible propulsion. The mystery video sparked intense interest and rumors. In 2019, Pentagon officials were compelled to acknowledge that the films were authentic and part of a wider issue of an upsurge in UFO encounters close to American military sites. Numerous congressional hearings followed the video leak, and in June 2021, the Pentagon released an unclassified report detailing more than 140 encounters between military personnel and unidentifiable aerial phenomena, or UAP, another name for UFOs. While only one of the incidents could be explained with high confidence, the report in no way suggested that aliens have anything to do with UAP. Pentagon officials said in November 2022, most UAP incidents can likely be explained as foreign surveillance drones or airborne clutter, such as weather balloons. Since the release of the bombshell videos, the Pentagon has taken a much more transparent stance on UFO/UAP investigations, opening a dedicated UAP case management office. As of 2023, reports of alleged UFO sightings from various U.S. military branches have flooded into the new office, with more than 360 new cases identified in 2022 alone.
Nazi scientists, some of them tied to war crimes including horrific concentration camp experiments, brought to the U.S. in a secret program to advance American security interests, during the Cold War. It sounds like the plot of a film drama, but it actually happened, and on a large scale.
In September 1946, President Harry Truman authorized a program called Operation Paperclip, in which more than 1,600 German scientists, engineers, and technicians were taken from former Nazi Germany to the United States for government employment after the end of World War II in Europe between 1945 and 1959. Many of these people were former members and former leaders of the Nazi Party. Officials at the Office of Strategic Services recruited the German scientists to aid America's post-war efforts, which will also ensure that the valuable scientific knowledge would not end up in the hands of the Soviet Union or the divided East and West Germany. The U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff established the first secret recruitment program called Operation Overcast on July 20, 1945. The term Overcast was the name first given by the German scientists' family members for the housing camp where they were held in Bavaria. In November 1945, Operation Overcast was renamed Operation Paperclip by the Ordnance Corps officers who would attach a paperclip to the photo of those rocket experts whom they wished to employ in the United States. Operation Paperclip most famous recruit was rocket scientist Wernher von Braun, who would go on to mastermind NASA's Apollo moon missions. Hey guys, we come to the end of the video. Are you familiar with any of the declassified programs mentioned in the video? If so, please let us know in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the video. Until then, we'll see you next time.